there was experts that knew what to look at. There was synergistic fits. There was a good, healthy EBITDA. There was a willing seller. There was definitely willing buyers. There was a marketplace created. What else should be added to that example that anyone listening to this should understand when it comes to valuation?
Let's say Eddie, our team.
Yeah, I mean, we're experts, and hire someone like us to. I think the advice we would give to any business owner that's toying with the idea of selling and not sure is just start preparing. If one of your top priorities is to maximize value, you don't hear the stories of all these companies that get huge valuation, but they hire someone, a consultant or a banker, months if not years in advance to start preparing the company to find out all the shortcomings, clean them all up. Like for example, diversify the customer base, reduce costs, increase margins. So it makes it more attractive to a buyer at the time of sale. And so many companies just kind of think they can just go put the for sale sign up and get a premium valuation. That's not the way it works.
I want to add one thing, which is having realistic expectations or reasonable expectations, right? This deal actually came in, you mentioned 17 times EBITDA, which is, I would say universally high for any industry. But the expectation was 45 something percent less. The asking price was 45% less. So in this case, another thing that aligned in that process was that the seller wasn't looking for some crazy number that couldn't be supported by any analytics or data. They were looking for something, possibly high, but reasonable, right? And that's important when you venture into this, because ultimately the market will decide what your company is worth. But if you start from an unreasonable place just because your company is your baby and you think your baby is worth more than anything, that's not going to lead to a good outcome, my opinion.
Yeah. So reasonable, let's define reasonable a little bit. How can we tell if someone has an unreasonable expectation? There's
a lot of ways. When they start telling you, well, I want 50 million when my company's only 10 million in revenue. Okay, right there as a banker from experience, that's unrealistic. And then you start asking, well, you give them the feedback, and then depending on how they react, you can determine how flexible they are. I guess the bottom line, taking a step back, your company's only as valuable as the market or buyer pays for it, right? And so that dynamic is interesting for buyers because they want to pay as little as possible, and sellers want to sell for as much as possible. And so for a deal to get done, guess what? Both sides have to be flexible enough to compromise. And the number one reason that deals don't happen is because both sides, one or the other, or both, are too entrenched. And they drew the line, this is my last negotiating point. And they just stop negotiating. And they don't find a middle ground. And so that's where an advisor can come in, again, to advise the business owner on how does it really work? You have a preconceived notion, how does it really work?
So I want to add that we developed a little system. It's internal. It's 12 data points that we look at. And obviously, we talked about revenue, EBITDA, growth, margins, right? But there's a few others that we look at. And this can be done in the first meeting, the first discussion that we have, right? We can quickly capture that and understanding, is this company sellable? Say any company is probably sellable, but is there, because there could be a lifestyle buyer that is interested in that particular company, but sellable as in, is there a group of buyers that would see that company material enough to be acquired, right? Two, what is this company worth, right? And in addition to the metrics we mentioned, I would argue, the level of technology and IP, intellectual property that they developed, how unique it is, right? How disruptive, is it eroding market share from the competitors? There's a few more, right? And then understanding, did they raise a lot of capital to get there? Were they capital efficient, or are they burning $1 million a month to get to that top line, right? There's a number of them, and we look at them in an internal process. We weight them, and we get to the point: is it sellable? What is it worth? And is it in line with the owner's expectations? And this is part of our job. We do it all the time to understand what mandates we can work on, because we need to be selective, right? And so if somebody is questioning what is my company worth, can I sell it? How far away am I to selling it? I mean, that's a conversation that I would have any day.